This is World History Day 4. This is 4B, and we're talking about this barren land that is in Mesopotamia in the Saudi Arabia region, specifically there in the Middle East. The Arabian Peninsula is dominated by the Rub al-Khali Desert, which means empty quarter. Really have to be creative about how we make a living in this region. Abraham spent some time nomadically moving through this region. Surface water is rare. That's our note D, continuing on from note C earlier. This gives you, this graphic really shows you scant to unavailable water is mostly what we have in this Middle Eastern region, even around the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. At the most, we're looking at moderate. And that's more recent, so it's possible that this area could have been more plentiful back in the BC. Things to think about. Letter D1, so this is to kind of extend from D to talk about an oasis is where water springs to the surface. So you can get that definition down. Definitely that's a place where we need to water the animals. And D2, the second point of this, is that control of water supplies is important in the history of the Middle East. I think about, let's see, even when Abraham sent out his servant to try to find a wife and for Isaac, and Rebecca was the first one who was willing to water the servant's animals. I mean, this was just getting your water was everything in your daily life in this region. It's everything to us too, but I think we take it for granted. We take water for granted. E, we're going to talk about the economic and technological specialization and trade in the Middle East. So if you look at this diagram, this is the ancient Middle East, what kinds of metals were mined and then could be traded. Egypt had some gold there, you can see. Now look at where iron could be found up in the mountains, and silver in places. So because no one place has all of these metals, these regions are crossroads of the trading. It's right through here. And the desert being so inhospitable, if you could get to an oasis, it was really fought over who would get to stay there. Even to have our different ages, we have to get our hands on some iron eventually. And bronze is made from a combination of copper and tin. That's E1. So we need copper and tin to get to our Bronze Age. Copper, and then where are we going to find tin? Over here. So definitely going to need to do some trading to have our Bronze Age. Quite a bit of copper, not so much tin. E2 will tell us about, as we're loading here, just wait for it and enjoy this great metal production map. Maybe we'll use our arrow. Okay, here's E2. And around 1000 BC, iron became cheaper and more widely available than it previously had. And that really brings us into what we consider to be an iron age and using that technology. But again, we'd have to trade from these mountainous people groups to get the iron, and we'd have to have something worth trading. So good to think about in history. Okay, so course of empire. And empire means groups of states or territories that are governed by one ruler. And now we're going to talk about Phoenicia. All right, Phoenicia were the traders. They were great at using ships and being merchants. Phoenicia, the Phoenicians. Sadly, they worshipped idols. Some of them we're going to know more commonly as